So, Joe, it is officially, as of recording on the 18th of March, we are 2 weeks away from the opening day in Major League Baseball, and
Woohoo!
there's snow tomorrow in the forecast.
Great.
Not like flurries, so it's nothing, but it's like, yeah, it's spring. Oh, there's still a little bit of winter left. But there's baseball coming, which always has um, has everything going for it, including new rules. We talked, and while there aren't really too many much, the temporary pandemic rules of 7 inning doubleheaders and the extra inning base runners all are still in effect since it's the pandemic's still going. They don't know how long they might need to use those for. So another year of that. Although, like last year, that once the playoffs happen, all bets are off. It's back to what we usually know about baseball. But that's not what everyone kind of wants to see, as you have found out.
Yeah, my dad sent me a link today where I was eating dinner, and it's called the Banana League, something like it. So it's called Banana Ball. So they have 9 rules. I'm going to go through them. The first one is every inning counts. So the team that scores the most run in the inning gets a point. First team to 5 points wins the game. The inning is over once the home team takes a lead or 3 outs are recorded on the home team. There's a 2-hour time limit. No inning will start after the 2-hour point. If a team has not reached 5 points, the game will go to a showdown tiebreaker. We'll get on that later. There's no stepping out. Batters can't step out of the batter's box once the at-bat starts. If the batter steps out, it's a strike. So if you have 2 strikes on you and you step out, you're out. There's no bunting. They say bunting sucks. Batters can steal first base if there's like a wild pitch. No walks allowed. If the pitcher throws the 4th ball, it becomes a sprint. The hitter will take off to first base. The catcher has to throw the ball around to every defensive player on the field before it becomes live. The hitter can advance to as many bases as they feel like. The ball does not have to touch the catcher or pitcher. And then we have the one-on-one showdown for the tiebreaker. Each team picks 1 pitcher and 1 hitter to face off. The defensive team only has the pitcher and catcher on the field. All other fielders are off the field. If the hitter puts the ball in play, he has to score and make it home to get a point. If the ball is put in play, the pitcher is allowed to chase the ball and throw the ball to the catcher for a play at the plate. If the pitcher strikes him out or gets him out before scoring, he doesn't get a point. If the batter walks, he can take second base, and the hitting team will bring another hitter to the plate. First team to reach 5 points wins if the score is tied. First team to keep the other team from scoring wins. Rule number 8 is no mound visits. And 9 is if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. So, in short, every inning counts, 2-hour time limit, no stepping out, no bunting, batters can steal first, no walks, one-on-one showdown, no mound visits, and fans can catch balls. Some of these rules I do like, some of them are a little out there, and some of them are just stupid.
I do not like most of them. This basically upends the entirety of what baseball is. There are a couple of things that I do like, such as limiting the amount of mound visits, maybe 1 in an inning at most. I would say, and definitely no stepping out. That's one of the biggest reasons that games are going as late as they are, because everyone keeps stepping out, doing all that. But a lot of these other things, every inning counts.
What is it, a tennis match now?
Yeah, like what that kind of takes the sails out of some of it. Like if you hit a 3-run home run, but the next inning, the other team gets 4 RBI singles. The most impressive thing is the home run, and yet that doesn't count as much.
Yeah, I mean, you already have, like, when you're doing, like, a best-of-7 series where you can theoretically score a net of negative runs but still win the series because you won a couple of close games. But to make that for the actual game itself in the innings, I'm not really a fan of that.
Yeah,
2 hour time limit.
Too short.
Yeah,
3
too
hour,
short.
3 hour maybe, but even then, the beauty of baseball is it's a game that does not. It's the only game that does not tie.
Yeah.
No ties are allowed. I mean, granted, NBA doesn't really have ties, but that's easier to break a tie in a overtime. But
the no stepping out. Yes.
Yes, please.
Changing your batting gloves, doing all that stuff. You shouldn't be granted extra time.
You have 20 seconds between pitches. That
I was going to say, but I think the pitcher can throw the ball as soon as they're on the mound and they're ready. If you're not in the box, too bad.
This is, I think, the only one of these rules that we both unanimously agree should be in place. No bunting. Have you not seen the beauty of bunting? And also, would you want the shift to basically rule the day?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not a fan of the shift. I'm a left-handed batter. I mean, I can switch hit, so it doesn't really affect me too much. And also, I know how to slap the ball the other way. But bunting, I never specifically liked it. I finally learned on my last year of playing baseball how to bunt the ball, but that also threw my timing off so much. I went from a really good pull hitter, of a lefty pull hitter, to I don't think I pulled the ball my whole last year because my whole timing was off because I like to swing nice and early, and it just threw me off. I don't like bunting.
No.
If you can make it so a shift isn't a thing, eliminate bunting.
No, I'd still want bunting. I like because that is the great equalizer for a pitcher who can't run. It basically forces them to be athletic.
How about no bunting when a perfect game's on the line?
We'll save unwritten rules for another episode.
Number 5, I actually like this one. Batters can steal first base.
I mean, technically, this is just making what happens when there's a wild pitch for a strikeout at making the third strike rule for everyone. I kind of like it just being the last thing, especially considering some of the pitchers in the league. Like, imagine if this was in and AJ Burnett was on the mound. He would not last in the major leagues. No walks are allowed. No walk.
It's an interesting idea that they have where you gotta sprint to first base and throw the ball to everybody. It's gimmicky. I think that would be fine if we were doing this as like a fundraising thing and it was like, let's have some fun.
Yeah, but
I would not want to see Giancarlo Stanton trying to run down first base while everyone's trying to throw the ball. That's stupid.
Yeah. Number 7, 1-on-1 showdown tiebreaker. Now this is interesting. Never mind the fact of the 5-point thing. Let's just take it as if this was a regular 9-inning game, and this kind of relates to the shootouts in overtime shootouts in hockey. I don't like it just because I like the beauty of extra innings as it is, but it is intriguing. I will say that.
I think it's a little far-fetched.
Yeah.
I think it's a Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of like a showdown shootout, showdown. But the problem I have with it is everyone else is off the field. We just got we're getting rid of pitchers hitting because the running and the hitting gets them hurt. Do you really want to have them race all the way to the middle of center field?
Yeah.
And by the time they get there, the guy will have already crossed the plate anyway.
Yeah, and then even if he hits a little blooper to left field and the pitcher sprints out there and he tries to throw the ball as hard as he can to home plate and he tears his UCL. There's gonna be some frowny faces.
Yeah, this is one that's intriguing, but needs more refinement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would possibly like it.
Maybe limit it to a center fielder.
Yeah, or convert it to a home run derby type.
Yeah.
where you have
I'd be
like
fine
X
with the
am-
home run
yeah,
derby.
you pick one hitter, one from each side, and you just basically you get 10 outs.
Wait. So you're saying a hitter from each side? So you have a left-handed batter and a right-handed batter, both at the same time. They got to swing at the same pitch.
You know what I mean. But yeah, send Stanton up, send Tatis up. Whoever hits the most home runs gets the win. But again, if it's my preference, I'd like extra innings as it is. Maybe add the runner on second rule after the 12th or 13th inning.
I wouldn't do that after like the first. Save it for like the 13th inning or something.
Yeah,
like that.
13th, 15th inning, whatever you. No mound visits. Mound visits are still important
Mm-hmm.
in the game, but I do agree that it should be more regulated. At the moment, you get 6 in a game total.
That's too many.
Yeah, I would say you get 1 an inning, and it does not carry over. Once you use your one once you use that one, you don't get any more. If you don't use it, you don't. You lose it, and it doesn't carry over, because even with this, although I say that, and even with that, there have been few times where we have reached the current maximum of 6 mound visits in a game. The problem becomes more in extra innings, where you get a free one each inning.
See, no, this is what I think it should be. I think you should. Each pitcher should only be allowed 1 mound visit, except the starting pitcher. They can get 2, but it can't be the same inning.
Yeah.
And you're limited if you're switching up pitchers. Are they still doing that 3-batter minimum thing?
Yeah, for the moment.
Okay,
I don't like it.
So that sort of stops it from being, all right, I'm going to have one guy go out there, switch him, mound visit, maybe. So with the 3-batter minimum, which I'm not a fan of, but
It's a thing.
It depends on what your perspective is, because you can like it as like, all right, it just keeps the guy going. It just doesn't make him completely useless that he only gets 1 batter, because I would hate doing that if it was just me and I had to go out there, face 1 batter, then go home.
It also puts an endangerment on the market of the lefty specialist. That now the guy who can get lefties out, but righties hit off like 500 off him, has to face a righty. He's not going to have a job in the major leagues. That's not valuable. I also personally don't like it, because I feel it's over-regulating something that has a much easier fix, which is stop going for home runs, shorten up your swing, and get that hit. That's the easier way to do this than have the commissioner hold your hand and tell you what you can and cannot do, just so you can keep having your 3 true outcomes.
Because it's going to make baseball not fun.
No.
Unless if you want to have a whole steroid league, and you see pitchers throwing 110 miles an hour and batters hitting 600-foot home runs, then I'd be totally fine for that.
Yeah, and then the last thing, fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. First of all, how are you going to track that? How are you going to track if they catch it, if they don't, when sometimes...
Yeah, what if it lands in a beer cup?
Yeah, is it a beer cup? Does a hat count? Does it have to be barehanded? And also, with how many foul balls they hit, batting averages are going to plummet.
Yeah.
So, these are intriguing things, but most of them are rather outlandish. I'll tell you what's not outlandish coming down the line, though. Have you seen the shortstop class coming up for the 2022 season?
I have now.
Yeah, as of 5 minutes ago. We've just wrapped up all the big free agent signings. There's still a few names of note still left on the free agent market, but most of them are relief pitchers, bench pieces, or Yasiel Puig, who is such a basket case no one really wants to deal with him.
Mm-hmm.
But what people do want to deal with are shortstops. They are valuable with their defense, but if they can have a lot with their bat and leadership, that is all of the more likely that you want. And guess what's coming up next year? Probably the best shortstop class that has been seen in recent memory. Just go down this list. Francisco Lindor, who's now of the Mets. The Mets are going to try to sign him to an extension, but once the season comes, he's going to be off to the races and not care about that contract. But a great clubhouse presence, perennial All-Star, Gold Glove,
and he's only 28 right now.
Yeah, yeah, he's playing his age 27 season. He'll be a free agent going into age 28. Has 30-20 power and speed. Mm-hmm. Could even push for 40 home runs based off his 2018 season. Last year, 258 in the shortened season, 8 home runs, 6 stolen bases. But he definitely brings a ton of leadership and a lot of fun to the clubhouses from Cleveland or New York. Next, Corey Seeger, the younger brother of the Seeger brothers, and a great player in his right. Not as much as Lindor. That last year but he does show power. Last year, 9th in MVP voting, 15 home runs, no speed to speak of. Rookie of the Year in 2016 has usually been around the 20 to 25 home run range with a 300 average. Also playing his age 27 season, so he'll be a free agent for his age 28. Next, the biggest power bop of this, Trevor Story. Yes, he plays in Colorado, but still, you can find parks where 35 home runs can still play. Just take a look at Yankee Stadium and DJ LeMahieu. He last year 11 home runs, a 2.890 batting average. Always in the top 10 conversation for MVP voting. And he's a little older. He's playing his age 28 season now, so he'll be 29 for free agency, but that's still pretty young for most. And Carlos Correa, who is tainted a little by the the sign stealings. Yeah, wrong scandal in baseball.
But we'll get the scandals later.
Yeah. 264 average, only 5 home runs, but he is very much a power threat. 2019, he only played 75 games due to injury, but he hit 21 home runs. He's also considered a leader. He's also the youngest of these shortstops. He's only playing his age 26 season now, so he'll be a free agent for 27. And then the last one of note is Javier Baez, who's coming off very much a down season, only 203 average and 8 home runs. But then again, Cubs could not hit last year. Going to full seasons, he's a perennial 280 hitter, 25 to 30 home runs, and a leader in that clubhouse. Came in second in MVP voting in 2018. Gold Glove. Shortstop, can play around the infield. Other shortstops in this class, Brandon Crawford of the Giants. You have Freddie Galvis.
Simeon.
Yeah, Marcus Simeon, who's currently playing second base for the Blue Jays. Andrelton Simmons, Freddie Galvis, Jose Iglesias, and Jonathan Villar round out the bottom of your serviceable starters. But that top 5 is...
Yeah.
Where can you go wrong, really? I don't think you can. They're all...
The only one I'm not too keen on is Javier Baez. I don't know. I think his walk to strikeout ratio is a little too ridiculous. That's just... I don't know if I'm just super fixated on that. But it's just not very good. Yes, last year was a small sample and everybody on the Cubs did horrible. But he had 75 strikeouts, to 7 walks. The previous year, he's only topped 30 walks once in his career. Through 1, 2, 3. He's had 4 full seasons, but his overalls, he's got 128 walks to 769 strikeouts. That's ridiculous. His on-base percentage is just barely a career 300. It's a 304. And it's sort of been dropping the last couple of years. So, I don't know.
For me, my guy that I would avoid for is actually Trevor Story. As I said, yes, he is his problem is going to be Coors Field. Just taking his career home road away splits. Career-wise, at home, he's a 304 hitter, 84 home runs in 300 games. Away, 299 games, he turns into a 250 hitter with 50 home runs. Now, obviously, you're going into very different parks all the time you're going into there, but that is a very much an extreme split. And we know that while the shortstop that he replaced in Colorado, Troy Tulowitzki, he showed that he was very much a product of Coors Field. We've seen hitters go away from Coors and still be serviceable guys. Look at DJ LeMahieu, who got even better away from Coors Field. And so there are guys who would, if you put him in the right ballpark, he will produce to the same levels. But if you're Zaidi of the Giants and you're looking for a shortstop to replace Crawford, look elsewhere because you're going to make him die in that cavernous ballpark in San Francisco.
You know who my most interesting one of all these shortstops is? It's Jose Iglesias.
Really?
Yeah. So when we did our fantasy baseball, 10 years ago, I had picked him up, and he had some good pop in his bat for me for a couple games that I had him. And I'm not saying he's 32. He's one of the older guys on this list.
And he's very much a more of a short gap fill in that position rather than you sign to a long-term extension.
Yep. And the most home runs he ever had was in the 2019 season, and that was 11. He's not big on RBIs. That was also his best RBI year. Doesn't strike out a ton, but he doesn't walk a lot either. Careers of 135 walks, 371 strikeouts. Career 278 hitter. His average has gone up basically every year. Besides that 2015 peak where he hit 300 over across 120 games after sort of playing a little bit in the previous few years. But last year in the shortened season for Baltimore, he hit 373 in 39 games across 142 at-bats. That's pretty impressive. I guess that was probably like the only bright spot for the Orioles last year.
Yeah,
I don't know how well. I mean, obviously, I don't expect him to hit 373 or even really above 300, but I think the Angels might be able to get something good out of him maybe this year. So we'll have to see. They're a little retooled. Maybe he's a little spark that they get in.
Maybe playing with Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon.
Yep. So,
Push him.
I mean, what's their, let's see, they have Walsh at first, Fletcher at second, Rendon at third, Iglesias at short, Justin Upton in left, Mike Trout in center, Dexter Fowler in right.
Yeah, they have Joe Adell looming and Luis Rengifo looming to take full-time positions.
Yep. So
which might also be what hurts Iglesias because Rengifo and Fletcher are infielders, and they're a couple of other guys in that system that could emerge, and should Iglesias falter, he might lose playing time to one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my intriguing shortstop from this is going to be Marcus Simeon, uh, who, yes, he's on a rather expensive 1 year deal for Toronto, or the Blue Jays. We don't know if they'll actually play in Toronto at all this year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's career only a 254 hitter, but remember that that entire career, with the exception of 85 games with the White Sox before he was traded in the Samardzija deal, was played in the very cavernous, very unsuited for baseball Oakland Coliseum. There has never been a batting champion by the Athletics while they have been in Oakland, because the foul ground is horrendously huge. But if you want to see what he can do, 2019, 33 home runs, 285 batting average, good on base percentage, finished third in MVP voting. He's going to be in Toronto with guys like Biggio, Guerrero, Springer, and definitely that first week, couple homestands in Dunellen, that is known to be a very hitters-friendly spring training camp. So that could bode well to give him an early start. Plus, he'll be playing shortstop because of that youth talent in Toronto. So that could increase his versatility, and other teams might come knocking and say, "Hey, we want you to play shortstop, or we want you to play second base and fill in for shortstop as needed."
Yep.
And then of course my top guy, I'd say the top one I would pick out of the big three or the big five, is Lindor.
Yeah. I don't think there's
any doubt
he's
no.
a big guy.
Yeah, he is. You get the hitting, you get the power, you get the speed, the defense. Most importantly,
you get the clubhouse, which is super important.
Yeah, the clubhouse is most important, and for a Mets team that has been very much known as low Mets for the last several years, that is what's needed. Someone who can be a stabilizing force. Pete Alonso was that the last 2 years, but there's a difference when it's coming from a rookie and when it's coming from an established player who can set that tone all the way down. Like Derek Jeter would not have been Derek Jeter if he didn't have people like Bernie Williams or Andy Pettitte to look up to, that have already established themselves by the time. All other guys like and Darryl Strawberry and all that, who have been around the bush for a while and have seen everything and know how to act. So Lindor can do that, set that tone for the Mets clubhouse in what they are hoping to be the first successful season since 2016. Anyway, that's our 30 minutes of let's start this off with baseball news.
Yeah.
Other stuff has been going along. One thing that has been coming in the NFL, some disturbing allegations have been presented against Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. A third lawsuit accusing Watson of sexual assault was filed just today against him. Two separate incidents were filed earlier in this week. TMZ, which we've known from the Kobe Bryant death, that they don't publish something unless they like this, unless they know the facts, and they say there could be as many as 9 total women coming forward.
This just seems ridiculous.
Yeah. This third suit alleges that Deshaun Watson coerced a licensed massage therapist to perform sexual acts during an appointment at the end of 2020. So far, there has been no suspensions, allegations and stuff, mainly because they're not in season. There's no reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But this this basically it's just one thing after another for the Texans.
Yeah, this like really throws a wrench in the whole is he staying or is he going sort of thing.
Yeah, now it's kind of he might have to stay because there's no trade value.
Yeah. So this is sort of what I was like spitballing with my dad earlier when I came home from work. Was that does this make it so that no team wants him and the Texans get to keep him? Or is this sort of like, all right, maybe we have to lower our prices and this lowers his value a little bit because maybe people don't want to take on his massive contract or something. I don't know. But for three things to, I mean, I don't know how lawsuits work and how publishing and getting things ready, but for three of them to come out in 1 week with another 6 lined up, and this is the first time anyone's heard about this. It smells a little fishy, seems a little weird. Apparently he's turned down a 6-figure settlement thing, so either he really is innocent or he believes he's innocent, which are two different things.
It's the problem of, for me, it's that if it was 1 or 2, I'd be like, okay, let's see what it is, how it is. But 9 total, that's hard to believe that that they're all false. That if there's 9 people coming forward, at least a couple of them, if not all of them, have some truth in that element. Now, the question is, of course, are they true enough that they are sexual assault, or was it an accidental misconstruing? That is for the courts to decide. But this is definitely very, very disturbing. And I forget, have you seen, you watch Urinating Tree on YouTube, right?
Not often. I was going to catch his video they released, I think, last week. But
yeah, do you remember his video a few months ago talking about Houston selling its soul for the World Series?
No, I don't think I did.
No, but basically it goes through the timeline of what happened after that World Series, when starting the next day when Deshaun Watson was out for the season for that 2017-2018 NFL series and tanked the Texans, and it just goes one after the other bizarre, tragic, or misfortunate things that prevent the Texans, the Rockets, and the Astros from winning the championship. And while obviously your belief in curses and supernatural is all purely subjective and no empirical evidence, definitely does think the city is kind of cursed for that tainted World Series now.
And maybe that's why J.J. Watt wanted to get out of there and head to Arizona.
Maybe.
Which I guess is a decent segue to the Cardinals. They already had Larry Fitzgerald. They got DeAndre Hopkins via the Texans last year, and he did a fantastic job. But now the Cardinals have added A.J. Green. Jesus. He is, or was, on the Cincinnati Bengals, where he threw up some pretty good stats. He basically played in most of the games. In 2011 he missed 1 game, 2014 he missed 3, 2016 he had a bit of an injury bug, in 2018 as well. But for the most part, he's racked up 1,000 yards in every season except 2016, 2018, and 2020. Although the Bengals, they lost their quarterback Joe Burrow in 2020, so that didn't quite go so well halfway through. So
I mean, a lot
understandable for that. But he was putting up stuff. He had back-to-back in 2012 and 2013, 11 touchdowns. He had 10 touchdowns in 2015, 8 in 2017. So he's had targets of at least 100 in every season but 2018, where he only had 77, but he only played 9 games. Um, so he had some pretty good stuff going down. And to add him onto the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, that's just a really good wide receiver core.
Cardinals are definitely pushing after just missing out in the 2020 season. That they were good. They showed flashes of brilliance. They were looking good, but they just fell apart a bit at the end and couldn't put it all together. So now with this to add to Watt and the A's heartthrob Kyler Murray, that they are definitely making that push to say this is our time where we're going to be going up there, and we're gonna make our charge for the Super Bowl.
Actually, a correction. Sorry, Larry Fitzgerald is not on the Cardinals. He is a free agent, but it looks enticing. Like he might want to come back. I mean, he's been nothing but a Cardinal his entire career, since being picked number 3 overall in the first round back in 2004. I find it hard to believe. I mean, then again, maybe you don't have as much room on the roster, but given a veteran presence and looking like you're going to try and make a run, I mean, I'd come back at least on a 1-year deal, and even if you don't have as many yards, I mean, he had so many like 1,000 yard seasons. He hasn't had one since 2017. And I think that was when Carson Palmer was playing. So he had only 400 last year in 13 games. But other than that, he's been basically healthy his entire career, missing 3 in 2006, 1 in 2007, 2 in 2014, and then 3 games last year. He doesn't fumble the ball. He's got 13 fumbles over the course of like 17 seasons. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Touchdowns, he probably averages about like 7 or so a year. That'll probably go down if he comes back to the Cardinals. But to be on that roster, to give us, I mean, Hopkins and Green are both definitely veterans at this point in their careers. Hopkins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. So, but to really help this team and solidify it and make a run. I mean, he was there when they lost to the Steelers in the Super Bowl, so he knows what it takes to get to the game. But to imagine the Cardinals with a roster like that, Keyshawn Johnson, I don't think is too bad of a player either. So I'm mixing up some of my guys.
I mean, the one thing that could throw a wrench into this is that the Cardinals are very close to their team cap space. That last year, Larry Fitzgerald had an $11 million contract. The most recent update to the team cap space for 2021 is that they have only $3,350,000 left to spend before they go over. So,
well, I wouldn't be surprised if they like pull some BS stuff and be like, "Oh, it's a signing bonus deferred thing," and then I'm like, "Really, that's a thing now?" I mean, I feel like every team's now doing this stuff with a signing bonus. Like, I don't understand why that's a thing, and how. I guess that's a rich person tax loophole thing.
It's because the owners don't want to spend like like in baseball does, that they want to tamper down on salary.
No, but I mean, like, saying signing bonuses don't matter about certain things, and it offsets this and that. It's like, you're making this much money this year. You got this much money this year. If you're getting it up front, that's part of your contract for this year. I don't care if you signed a $10 million signing bonus. and you're getting $15 million, you're making $25 million now.
It's
That's
called
it. That's the bottom line.
It's,
There's no, well, he gets $20 million this year and $40 million next year, so it's only an average of 30 for both. No, getting 20 this year, you're getting 40 next year. That's what it counts for. Don't make things confusing.
it's called a loophole for a reason.
Yeah. That's why I liked Mr. Fran, or I guess Dr. Fran now. His class was based on a point system in class. You knew exactly what you were getting, just had to add it up and divide. There was no this and that and the loop around. It was easy to read, because we don't have to get into NASCAR yet, but like NASCAR used to be super crazy with its point system. Now it's a lot easier.
You know what is crazy? LeBron James owns part of a baseball team now.
Yeah, and it's not the Yankees because because he wore that nice Yankees hat against the Cleveland Indians that time.
And it's not the Cleveland Indians as much as Ohio
Well,
fans
is it the
would
Indians? Are we allowed to say that?
They're still called the Indians. They're not retiring that name for another year. But yeah, as much as those fans would like to be out under the thumb of the Dolan family and their penny pinching ways, he has joined up with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
To be a part owner of that. I believe he's the second big player in basketball after Magic Johnson was part of the most recent Dodgers ownership group, and the second in as many years of a superstar sports player investing in a baseball team after Patrick Mahomes invested some of his money in the Kansas City Royals. But it's definitely not a bad move considering that LeBron's total earnings just recently passed him over to become a billionaire.
Yep.
So, and he should hopefully know a thing or two about winning that the Red Sox could do, because as of recently it seemed like the Red Sox got complacent. All right, we won the 2018 World Series. Now we don't have to pay you guys anymore, and that's why they've completely fallen apart over the last 2 years.
Yep.
That they had a perennial run, and they just decided not to spend to keep it together. Yep. Trade away Betts, trade away Benintendi, let Bradley go. Don't bolster the pitching core.
What's interesting though is this isn't his first time partnering with Fenway Sports. He also has an ownership stake in the Premier League club for Liverpool, which I believe just won like the FA Cup or whatever the soccer thing was over there.
Yeah, the ownership group also owns the Nessun, which is the New England Sports Network, Fenway Sports Management, which I believe takes care of Fenway Park, and Roush Fenway Racing, which...
NASCAR.
Yeah, NASCAR. Thank you. I'm like, Fenway Racing...
I know that because my dad used to like the team with Carl Edwards, which we ask every time we sit down to watch the NASCAR race. It's like, what happened to Carl Edwards? He was always like in the commercials, always big about fitness. Whenever he won, he'd do a backflip off his car. He kept coming real close to a championship and just faltering, losing a heartbreaker at Miami Homestead, like it might even be a decade now, where he won the race, but because Tony Stewart finished in a specific position and had just enough points to tie Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart won the championship because he won 4 races in the playoff format, and that was the tiebreaker, not that Carl Edwards won the race, which is not the case now.
That's why I find NASCAR confusing. As much as I know you like it, but it's like you won the race, but you didn't actually win because this guy placed high enough that he still
now
win.
That's different. Now it's you basically win, you're in. Except now because we've basically had a new winner every race. We've had. Where is it? Michael McDowell win the Daytona 500. Christopher Bell won the next one. William Byron won the next one. Kyle Larson won Las Vegas. So the first 4 races were run by guys who don't really win. I think it was William Byron was the only one that's won his second race or something like that. And then finally for the 5th race on Pi Day, March 14th, Phoenix, Martin Truex Jr. won. So he's the first of the big guys to win, but we've had 5 different winners in all these races. At this trend, because I think there's 26 races, only 16 guys I think can make the playoffs. So at this point, usually it's you win, you're in. At this rate, that's not going to work. So it usually does mean it now that they fixed the format. Because as I talked about a little bit earlier real quick, was that they used to have this like weird formula for getting points and this and that. Now it's you kind of understand where you're getting your points from, and it's easy to figure things out. And they can actually like change the points live on the television too, which is really cool because it's so easy to calculate.
But getting back to LeBron, it's definitely good for him that he's made that much. Why can't we see some of that money come down to us?
Yep.
But yeah, it makes me wonder, like, who else in sports could potentially have an ownership drive? Maybe Tom Brady decides to invest some of his winnings in something. Mookie Betts later in his
Tampa
career.
Bay Rays.
Yeah, in the Rays, just to spurn the Red Sox. Maybe Mookie Betts or Mike Trout later in their careers.
They're
or after
definitely going to have enough money to do that.
Yeah. It's just good to see sports players who say I want to keep giving back to these fans by making sure that they help get a winning product. Obviously, it's not like Derek Jeter or Michael Jordan who actually are major front faces for their respective ownership groups, but it's interesting to see.
This will just sort of tie it in a little bit. So the NFL announced TV deals with ESPN/ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and Amazon. And personally, I don't really care. It doesn't really affect me. I can watch basically all of these games. What I still can't watch are the New York Rangers because even though Hulu keeps telling me, oh yeah, the game's available right here. See, it's right on the station, and then we click on it, and it says, oh, sorry, the game's blacked out. So I've just learned to ignore watching the Ranger games this year. However, last night I'm at Janine's. We're watching Iron Man 2, and my dad texts me. He's like, oh, the Rangers are up 5-0. I'm like, what? Because I checked, I think it was like 2-0 after the first. In hockey, a 2-0 goal lead is like nothing. Teams blow that all the time, like 10-point lead in basketball. So I was like, what? And I go to check, and all of a sudden it's 7-0. And I'm like, and my dad's like, yeah, and I'm actually able to watch the game. I was like, really? The one game that we get to watch, the Rangers play well and doesn't give us a heart attack and heart palpitations to watch because they're so stressful to watch. And I can't, and I'm not home to watch it.
Yeah, of course.
And the final score of this game, 9-0 for the Rangers.
Jesus, that's a baseball score, not a...
Yeah, I was like, Dad, you sure we're not like watching like a football game and someone got 3 field goals? And he's like, nope, they got 7 in the second. So I was like, oh, I guess they got a safety in the first and a touchdown in the second. This was crazy. Zibanejad finally had he had a nice hat trick after lacking for the first bit these last couple of games. So it was really good to see that. Just looking at the box score real quick. Plus minus Bucinovic, +5. Kreider, +3.
Who were they playing?
Keandre Miller, +4. Truba, +4. They're playing the Flyers, which was part of the way they're going now with the season because of COVID. They're sort of just like playing like back-to-back games with everything.
Yeah, but the Flyers aren't that terribly bad of a team that they'll just give up a goose egg like that.
Well, that's the thing with the Flyers. They've been basically playing 500 against everybody but the Sabres. Actually, a little less than 500. So they've basically just been playing like if their offense does well, they do well. If they don't, they lose. Which I guess goes for really any team.
Yeah, you've just described how to win a sports game.
That's sort of basically what it's been. The previous game that they had against the Rangers, before losing 9-0, they won that game 5-4 in overtime. So the Rangers still scored 4 goals on them. That was a total of 13 goals they gave up to the Rangers in 2 games. The Rangers have just been so terrible, losing 1-goal games this year, that they're not better than they should be, as I've talked about all throughout this first quarter of the year for hockey. Although they have been better as of late.
Yeah,
they haven't had a 1-goal loss on Monday, March 15th against the Flyers when they lost in overtime. They hadn't had a 1-goal loss since February 24th, when they lost to Philadelphia, actually, 4-3. But they had a 1-goal win against Buffalo, 3-2. So other than that, they haven't been as bad. But it's just sort of been either they get beat, like they lost to the Boston Bruins 4-0 on March 11th, and 2 days later they played Boston again and won that game 4-0. So I guess to learn from anything, tomorrow night when they play Washington on the 19th, they'll probably lose that game like 6-2 or something. The way it's looking.
Yeah. I mean, there is still time for them. There's a little under 2 months of the season left.
Yeah, but it's hard. You're only playing your division, and they're basically the Devils and Sabres aren't going to do anything. They're done. The Rangers are the bottom team of the teams to do something.
Yeah, but they have an uphill battle, 6 points behind the Bruins for that 4th spot.
Yeah, the Capitals and Islanders sort of keep flip-flopping who's in first place right now.
Well, currently they're tied.
Yeah, currently they're tied. So they're in the middle of they're in the flip. They're in the hyphen right now.
Yeah.
Of the flip flop. So both on 9-1 in their last 10 games. The Capitals have a nice 6-game winning streak going on.
Yeah, and Capitals get the edge because they've played one less game.
Yes. They both have 4 overtime losses.
Yeah.
The Penguins are still looking behind. I mean, I'm not going to count out Sidney Crosby. And is Malkin on here right now? I think Malkin's still playing.
They're also currently they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that doesn't really mean too much in hockey because teams go from 2-8 to 10-0 in a blink of an eye, which you don't see really in any sport other than hockey.
I mean,
basketball maybe. Baseball, it's usually you're playing your thing unless if you're just like a team that, like the Yankees can go like 3-7 and have a bad stretch, but then for the rest of the year they'll be like 8-2 overall. Hockey, it's literally, I'm gonna be 8-2 this stretch of 10 games, and then I'm gonna be 1-9, and then I'm gonna be 10-0, and then win 15 in a row, and then lose 7 in a row.
Kind of like the Maple Leafs in being 5-5 their last 10 games.
Yes.
Still leading the Canada division.
Yeah. We've got some interesting teams. The Golden Knights, they're still fairly new, the newest expansion team. So that's good. Although they won't be once the Kraken join.
Once Gary Sanchez decides to become a hockey team. Not a player, a team. The Gary Sanchez team.
Yeah, he's going to have such a terrible year this year that the Yankees are going to trade his contract to the Seattle Kraken, and he's just going to become the mascot.
Yeah.
So
there's still some battles in the NHL though. Blue Jackets are hanging in there, a few back from the Blackhawks. We just talked about the East. In the West, the Kings are 3 points back from the Blues and 2 points ahead of the Coyotes. And in good old Canada division, there's the Canadians and the Canucks and the Flames.
Oh, you can't say Canucks. That's offensive.
That's literally their name.
I know.
They're the Canucks. Yeah, but yeah, they're aside from the Ottawa Senators, everyone in that Canada division is kind of in that mix. So with over half of the season done and about 6-7 weeks left in the season, see how these things shake out. But before that, we have to kind of get around to wrapping this up. Anything in the world of your good old race car driving?
That Harvick needs to figure things out, and that Sienna should have made the NCAA bracket, but they decided to throw a goose egg in the MAC tournament after being the number 1 seed. So I'm pretty salty about that. Sienna, get your Frank's Red Hot stuff all over everything. Get your act together.
I don't have to say that for the Maris. The women's team is gone to the NCAA tournament.
Well, who cares about women's basketball?
We do. That's our best sport. Have you seen our men's record? It is. They won a game this year in the MAC tournament. That's more than they've done for most of the last 2 decades.
That's more than Sienna's men's football team has won.
You don't have a football team.
I guess on that note.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, get your vaccines, wear a mask, keep wearing your mask after your vaccines, don't be a Karen.
Yeah. 2 weeks until opening day. Joe, I will talk to you next week where we'll talk about something in sports. There's something happens.
Yeah, we'll see what Deshaun Watson or NASCAR or what LeBron James is going to do next. We didn't even touch on the whole Asian thing with Jeremy Lin and the shootings in Atlanta, but we'll save that all stuff for next week.
Yeah. And we also have opening day coming up, so I might even be able to tell you my fantasy draft strategy.
Oh yes, you said you have number 1, so Tatis.
Yeah, Tatis, and then I'll figure out who I get with the 40 and 41 picks in this snake draft.
All right, well, have fun.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.